The story begins with Elias, an explorer and photographer who specializes in abandoned and inaccessible places. He has spent his life trying to find unusual locations and has become famous for his photographs that show what others did not dare or could not see. But despite all his successes, he always felt that his search was not yet over, that somewhere there was a place waiting for him, a place that could reveal to him the true nature of reality. One day he receives a strange message from a man named Richard, with whom he has not spoken for many years. Richard tells of a secluded valley in northern Europe, surrounded by mountains and dense forests, where modern maps and technology do not reach. The valley, they say, is not just abandoned, it is as if it was forgotten by time. Locals call it the Valley of Silence and believe that it is forbidden to enter. Richard described the valley as something completely unique, filled with unusual sculptures and ancient symbols. Elias, as a man obsessed with research, cannot resist temptation. Upon arrival in the northern city, where Richard is waiting for him, Elias immediately notices the strange behavior of the locals. When the Valley of Silence is mentioned, they look away warily or quietly leave, as if the place was shrouded in a secret that no one dared to reveal. When he asks about the valley, some advise him to abandon this idea, others simply remain silent. But Elias has already decided to go there. The next morning early, before the fog has cleared from the ground, Elias and Richard begin their journey to the valley. They will have to walk through several miles of dense forest and cross a narrow mountain pass. On the way, Richard tells them that the valley has its own ancient myth. According to legend, many centuries ago a tribe lived here, worshipping an ancient deity living in silence. They believed that in the silence one could hear the voice of this deity. But only those who were not afraid to look into the darkest corners of their souls could hear this voice. Soon they reach the edge of the valley. The forest suddenly ends, revealing a silent space completely covered in thick, gray fog. The valley looks ominous and almost unreal, as if this place exists outside of time. Everything inside seems to freeze, no sound, no movement, only silent emptiness. Richard stops at the edge, apologizing that he cannot go further. He was stopped by indescribable fear. But Elias resolutely steps forward, and Richard watches as his silhouette dissolves into the fog. Elias finds himself in the valley completely alone. Stone statues, strange distorted figures, as if created from an unknown force, meet him at every step. The feeling that someone is watching him intensifies. He is surrounded by impenetrable silence, in which something else begins to appear, like a whisper, but not audible, but arising somewhere deep in the mind. After passing through a labyrinth of stone figures, Elias stumbles upon an ancient temple located in the center of the valley. Inside the temple, he sees a sacrificial altar and symbols that he has not seen in any culture known to science. When he touches the stone, visions of ancient rituals associated with silence and darkness appear in his mind. Scenes unfold before him in which people sacrifice their voices, their words, their thoughts in order to hear the voice of the void. Elias realizes that the ancient myth was true. The people who lived here believed that by giving up all sounds, they could understand the language of existence itself, but they went too far. The followers of the cult lost not only their voices, but also their own souls, remaining imprisoned in the shadow of the silence that reigns here. Elias, realizing the power of the valley, decides to leave, but notices that the fog is getting thicker, turning into a wall that does not allow him to leave the place. Trying to find a way back, he encounters figures that look like statues. But now they move, as if they have come to life, emerging from the fog, surrounding him from all sides. The faces of these creatures are frightening in their emptiness. Their eyes are devoid of pupils, and their mouths are closed forever. In a last attempt to get out, Elias falls to his knees, and suddenly the silence around is broken by a deep echo. He realizes that his voice, his thoughts, even his breath are slowly dissolving, as if the valley demands that he give himself to it completely. His consciousness is immersed in darkness, and his memory is erased until he becomes part of the silence.